welcome back everybody. I'm going to walk you through on how to make your graph so that it shows me that you really understand the systems of inequalities. So first, when we're making our graph, we're going to save our graph. Okay, we're going to title this, so this is part of the time management problem, and then title it with your last name. Okay, so my last name will be Madrono. And then we're going to start off with our initial inequality. And so that would be the number of hours playing basketball, which is X, plus the number of hours doing homework, which is Y, is less than or equal to 6 hours. And we're going to put our restrictions or constraints inside these fancy braces here. And the first one was that X, the number of hours of playing basketball, is less than 2. Okay, and we're going to close that off. Next, we want to do at least 1.5 hours of homework. So the number of hours spent doing homework would be Y, is greater than or equal to 1.5. Okay, and so now we get this. This is what is showing. We don't care really about these three quadrants because we can't have a negative amount of time. And so even though that this is mathematically correct in our answer, in real world we don't really want that. We only care about this first quadrant right now. So to get rid of that, I'm going to write in that 0 or X can only be between 0 and 2. And so now we have this. This is, if you remember, the overlapping areas of all three problems or all three constraints. Okay, I'm going to move this over and I'm going to change my labels. So my x-axis was hours of basketball, and then the y-axis was the hours of homework, which is also age. And we're going to change the intervals right now. So if this is happening from 0 to 2, and I want to see as much as possible because all this negative space is not interesting to us. Okay, so we're going to maybe -1 all the way 3. And in the y-axis, maybe -1 point whatever, all the way up to 7. Okay, so now we have a bigger picture of what our picture looks like. I'm going to label these 4 points that keep our shape, our overlapping areas in. So the first point I'm going to do is here. This means that if I didn't play basketball, and then I could do 6 hours of homework. Okay, so actually I'm going to write a note about that. So 0 hours of basketball and 6 hours of homework. Next, this point means that there's 0 hours of basketball played, but we have to at least do 1.5 hours of homework. So 1.5 hours of homework. So I'm going to write 0, 1.5, and then that will mark that point. This point means that I've played my maximum hours of 2 hours of basketball. Oops. So 2 hours of basketball, and that I did the minimum amount of homework, which is 1.5 hours of homework. Okay, so then this would be 2, 1.5. And this last part right here is where I've maxed out on the number of hours I can play basketball. But because I've played 2 hours of basketball and I don't want to spend more than 6 hours right here, then that means the remaining hours left, which is 4, would be doing homework. Okay, and so that point would be 2, 4. And so this is what the shaded area means. At the least amount of basketball, I can do 0, and maximize on all my time, and I don't want to spend more than 6 hours of doing that, of homework. So then I would do 0, 6, 0, 1.5 means I played 0 hours of basketball, but completed my minimum amount of 1.5 hours of homework. This would mean that I played my maximum hours of basketball, which would be 2, and completed the minimum amount of 1.5 hours of homework. And here I completed the maximum amount of time playing basketball, which is 2 hours. And then the rest of the time I filled it with completing homework for 4 hours. Anything in this shaded region means that you can, for example, this one, you can do half an hour of basketball and 4 hours of homework. This point would mean that you played 1 hour of basketball and 4 hours of homework, and that still fits all our restraints, which we listed in row 1. Now, I can take a screenshot of this and then submit it in my Google document. So, thanks for watching.